We begin tonight with that deadly shooting outside a Jewish museum in D.C. that killed 2 Israeli embassy staffers. Law enforcement is investigating the gunman's actions as a hate crime and possible act of terrorism. A new report out today from the Southern Poverty Law Center identifies the magnitude of the threat from extremism and hate groups in the United States. Joining us now to discuss is Margaret Huang, President and CEO of the Southern Poverty Law Center. Thank you so much for being with us. Margaret, what's your reaction just off the bat to this shooting?
We absolutely condemn the violent attack last night and want to remind everyone that violence is never a response to try to avoid conflict or to promote peace. It can only be done through peaceful means. And we're so sorry and send our deepest condolences to the families.
The Southern Poverty Law Center tracks at least 14 active anti-Semitic hate groups and 61 neo-Nazi groups operating in America. Help us understand that in the larger landscape of extremism.
You know, John, we've been doing this report for more than 30 years. This is our 34th report that we've issued. And throughout those years, we've documented hate groups starting with the Ku Klux Klan. And today, we've actually documented more than 1,300 organizations across the country classified as either hate groups or as anti-government extremist organizations. This report is similar to the last several years. What we've seen is a very dramatic uptick in the number of people embracing extremist ideologies and seeking to infiltrate the mainstream with their ideas and their hateful beliefs.
Margaret, what do we know? Is there a distinction, and is it a useful distinction, between free-floating anti-Semitism or free-floating hate and organized hate?
Yeah, that's a great question. We actually use this report to document groups, organizations that actually advocate for and malign and attack a particular group of people based on their immutable characteristics. Unlike individuals who might take action, possibly like the shooter last night, we're not documenting those individual acts of hate, but rather the groups that seek to manifest their beliefs into policies and laws across the country. And we've particularly seen that increase in state and local governments across the country, as well as school boards.
Now, of course, groups sometimes draw the actions of individual lone wolves. Last question, Margaret. The Trump administration has changed some of the ways it's counts and tracks in databases these kinds of groups, domestic terrorist groups. How does that affect this story?
Well, one of the most important things that we have to address is the myth of white genocide that is being promoted by this administration. Those myths have been clearly reviewed and analyzed by people without any political connections. And it's clear that that myth of white genocide is one that this administration is seeking to promote, as it does attacks on diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, on civil rights protections and statutes, and as it seeks to deny due process to immigrant communities and other vulnerable populations.
Margaret Huang of the Southern Poverty Law Center, thank you so much.